In this video I'm gonna compare the original Apple leather case, along with the original silicone case and clear case with each other to find out which one eventually works best for you. I'm going into the details of each case and will mention the pros and cons of them, to make sure that you won't make the wrong purchase. Now, these are the cases for the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, but this also applies of course to the newer iPhone 14 and 14 Pro models, since they are basically the same cases just with slightly different dimensions. The prices for the clear and silicone cases are €55 each, and the leather case retails for €65. Let's start with the clear case. This case has the advantage that the appearance of the iPhone is not completely lost when it's attached. So, clear cases are a great way to protect your phone while showing off its design and color at the same time. Especially with the Pro models, you can still see the nice and shiny stainless steel bezels. So no matter which iPhone you have, you will always be able to enjoy the design of your phone. This case also has a reputation for not getting a yellow tint over time, like the other third-part plastic cases on the market. In any case, this white MagSafe on the back of the case is always conspicuously visible. Whether that bothers you or not, of course everyone has to know this for themselves. Unlike the leather and silicone cases, the bottom edge of the clear case is open. So if you want a case that protects the edge of the iPhone from all sides, you should maybe look for another one. And when you put the phone face down, the display won't touch the surface because of that raised edges along the sides. What I've heard about this case is that it's not so extremely sensitive against scratches. It still looks good to me when I've used it so far, but I assume the case will scratch over time a little bit more. But I have to say I have barely used this case. On the other hand, there is a disadvantage because it's not made of a softer material such as a rubber or leather, but off such a hard plastic. Which means it can happen that if the iPhone falls down with the case and it hits an edge, there will be a crack at the edge or the plastic is just damaged. Of course, that's the point, that the case protects the iPhone, but it just doesn't look nice afterwards. However, the buttons are not as easy to press as they were without the case. You really have to apply a lot more pressure here. Much more pressure than silicone or leather cases, so keep that in mind if you're considering getting the clear case. In terms of grip, I would say it's just as slippery as if you didn't have a case on your iPhone at all. This applies at least to the iPhone Pro models with the matte back when there is no protection. Although this case is made out plastic, it's still very good. You can definitely feel that once you have had it in your hands, and I would recommend it over every other plastic clear cases. As next, we have the leather case. I often hear positive things about the leather case from Apple. It's always positively emphasized how well these cases last in the long term, which I can personally confirm. But there is one thing to keep in mind. The leather also generally shows a more worn look over time. And leather that has a light color can also become darker over time, which is when the patina effect occurs. It's also generally known from lighter leather car seats or leather purses, for example, so it is something very natural and is also seen as something beautiful. I just wanted to mention that because maybe some of you might not like it. I also have the color saddle brown, a lighter color, whereas I just said that this patina effect is becoming more and more evident. I used this case almost every day, and you can also see clear signs of wear and tear that have darkened, especially on the corners and edges. So you can see how this wear and tear effect has already progressed here. So what I want to tell you is that if you choose a lighter color, it will become darker over time, or the leather will get a worn look. But although the leather cases are used for a long time, they are often in good condition. It has already happened to me twice that I dropped it in the garage with the leather case, but there were only a few small scratches that even smoothed out by themselves over time. Nothing is peeling off the edges and there are no visible cracks, and that makes a very good impression on me. But if you choose a darker color, then this effect will of course become less noticeable. With the leather case, I think you get more for the money with a comparatively smaller difference of €10. After all, you have real leather here, and it is also a very high quality leather, and this case is made very well overall. In terms of inside the case, which is also lined with a color matching fabric, this soft material also offers the iPhone a lot of protection against bumps, sand and dust particles. So if something gets between the phone and the case, this material will hold it in place without scratching the iPhone. I always think that's a good thing with a case, because the case then always has something soft around the inside of the iPhone. The edges are slightly raised so the display is not touching the surface when it's faced down. While the buttons on the other two cases are made of rubber and plastic, these buttons are made of metal and are also very precisely processed. Also a nice detail, the edges of these metal buttons are slightly sanded and they have a bit of a shine. They are very easy to push and give a nice tactile feedback, and you just don't want to stop clicking those buttons. And of course this feels very nice and premium in the hand, and it gives the iPhone more grip, so it won't slip off of your hands. Then we have the silicone case. I keep hearing about the silicone case that is supposed to wear out too quickly, or it is showing signs of wear too early. And this in relation to the price of €55. Especially on the edges of the silicone case you can see more wear and tear. For example, you can often see cracks, or the material has already detached from the case itself. In addition, during my everyday use with the silicone case, I also noticed that dust and dirt generally sticks to the case at the corners at the display super fast, which looks not that pleasant. A positive feature of this case is that it also protects all sides of the iPhone's frame. And because the case's body covers the edges fairly well, so it offers all-around protection around that area. It has this very nice silky silicone texture that is very comfortable and soft to the hand. They're not lumpy or too thick, and they offer good protection and also cover up the buttons on the side, which are easy to press through the case, but they're a little stiff and you have to use a slightly lighter pressure. It gives the iPhone a nice grip and is very comfortable. So you don't have the feeling that your smartphone could fall out of your hand, it's quite the opposite. The inside of the case, which is also lined with a color-matching fabric, has the same benefits like the leather case I mentioned before. So if something gets between the phone and the case, this material will hold it in place without scratching the iPhone. The good thing is that this case protects also all sides of the bezels of your phone, and since the edges are a little raised, the display won't touch the surface when you put your iPhone face down to the table. If the silicone case wouldn't attract lint and dust so quickly, I think it would be my favorite. And not to forget that all three cases are MagSafe cases. This means that the cases also have these MagSafe magnets installed, so that MagSafe accessories can also perfectly attach to the iPhone. Whether it's the MagSafe charger or the MagSafe wallet. And I would also like to mention, for those who may not have noticed this yet, that a MagSafe charger on a silicone or leather case can leave an imprint of the MagSafe ring over time. For some it was very noticeable, while for me it was barely visible at all. If I had to pick just one of the three cases, it would definitely be the leather case. It looks very good and feels very good and also protects the iPhone very well in everyday life. But I would also like to know what your experiences are if you use one of these three cases from Apple. Why did you decide to buy them, and how satisfied are you with your decision? And if you have been using the case for a long time, how has it held up so far? Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this comparison video about the official cases from Apple, and if so, then give it a like to let me know, and I'll see you guys in my next video.